Hey everyone, my name is Taylor Smith, aka the Career Coach, and today I'm talking about sections to include in your resume. So whether you are creating your very first resume and you're trying to figure out what sections you should include there to really make you stand out and get noticed by recruiters, or maybe it's been a while and you need to update your resume and you're not sure which sections are more critical to have than others, then this video is dedicated to you, so keep on watching. But until then, you guys, again, I am a career coach and I help college students and professionals get noticed by recruiters, stand out as a top candidate, and get offers for paid internships and full-time opportunities. If any of that resonates with you, then you are in the right place. So let's go ahead and get started with our video. So in this video, we're going to talk about the different sections to include on your resume, and I'm going to break this up into two main categories. So the first one is going to be your essential sections, basically your non-negotiables, and the second one is what I like to call the a la carte items, or more like the add-ons or optional sections you can add to your resume to add on top of to really make you stand out, or if you just don't have a lot of experience and you need to fill up some space on your resume. So with that said, if you want to learn more about what exactly is a resume and some of the fundamentals, then you want to make sure you check out this video from last week, which is going to explain all of that in a lot more detail. So let's go ahead and kick things off with the essential sections on your resume. So the first section is your personal information section. So of course, this is including your first and last name, the biggest and boldest, but you're also including any of your contact information in case you'd be contacted for next steps. So this includes your email address. You want to make sure that this is a professional one. So this isn't something too casual like it's your girl T Smith. You want to make sure that this is something very simple like taylor.smith@gmail.com. In addition to this, you want to make sure you have your phone number, so make sure this is one that you can actually be reached at. And then lastly, you want to make sure you include your address. So this is maybe not your full address. If you don't want to put the full street name, you can just put the city, state, and the zip code, so that way people know generally where you're located. And the main purpose of this is if there's some kind of relocation that's required, if you were to move to another city or even another state or country, and so that way they can anticipate that up front. So up next for the essentials is your education section. So this is going to include up to your highest level of education. So let's say, for example, your highest level is high school, then you're going to list all of this information as so for related to your high school degree. However, if you start to have some college experience and then you decide to go up to graduate experience, etc., your lowest level can just be at the collegiate level and you don't have to list your high school information anymore. And this will just generally be able to help you have more space on your resume. So with that said, you want to make sure that you're including the high school or college or university's name on your resume in bold. After that, you want to make sure that you're including the location. So this is the city, state, and the country if needed. You want to make sure you're including your GPA. So actually this part is optional, but if you are still in school, usually a lot of these companies have some kind of GPA requirement, so they're going to have to request this information anyway. So it doesn't hurt just going ahead to share it with them already, unless you may not have the best GPA and you just don't want to highlight that right away and make that your first impression and people not want to talk to you. But with that said, when you do include your resume, make sure that you specify the scale, whether that is a 4.0 scale, 5.0, or 6.0, or whatever else it is nowadays. In addition to this, you're also including whatever your degree type is, as well as your specific major and any minors, as well as any concentrations you might have. And lastly, you're including your graduation date. So whether this is the actual date that you graduated or your anticipated graduation date, whether you are a freshman, sophomore, what have you, what is the month and the year you anticipate your graduation to be. Hey guys, so I know I look a little bit different. While editing, I realized that I accidentally deleted this part of the video. So I'm just re-recording it so that you guys have all the information. But within the essential sections part of your resume, you want to make sure that you're including your professional experience. So this is arguably the most important part of your resume. So within this section, you want to list all of your work experience in chronological order, with the oldest experience at the bottom and the most recent experience up top. And within all these different experiences, you want to make sure you include the following information. This is the company title, or the name of the organization that you work for. Then you want to include your position title. So what is the exact role that
you had. Then you want to include the duration that you were in the role, so from month year to month year. And then lastly, bullet point descriptions that explain what exactly you did within that role. So I also call these bullet point descriptions SMART descriptions, and SMART is just an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, results, and time bound. If you want to learn more about SMART's descriptions, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss next week's video, which I will also post up here. But in just SMART descriptions, basically just take your bullet point summary to another level. So sometimes you may see people have a paragraph or summary under each of their experiences, and it's really best to have these bullet points so that it gives you a quick snippet or gist of what it is that you've done, and lets the recruiter to quickly glance through your resume rather than trying to decode a whole paragraph, because the recruiter only really looks at your resume for about 5 to 6 seconds on average. And so this enables them to look through everything very quickly on your resume. So if you may have more relevant experience in the past, maybe you changed careers and what you're doing lately isn't really relevant to what you want to do again, maybe you want to go back to what you've done in the past, then you may want to split this section into two. So you may want to have your relevant experience, and then you want to have your other work experience. So maybe some of the work that you've done in the past is more relevant than what you've done recently, which you can include as your other work experience. And this is mostly so the most relevant is up top, because again, the recruiter's only looking at your resume about 5 to 6 seconds at initial glance. But then also you're including that other experience so that you don't have any time gaps on your resume and there isn't any question on what happened there.
And lastly, for the essentials section, we have your technical skills section. So notice I didn't say soft skills. We're not listing any of these on your resume because it is assumed that you already have a lot of these possessed as in your toolkit, and it's kind of unnecessary to list because a lot of these recruiters already expect you to be adaptive, to be a team player, to be hardworking, etc. So with that said, you want to focus more on the different technical skills or different systems and softwares that you're familiar with that would be very essential to this role, or it could be, overall very impressive. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that your list is no longer than 1 to 2 lines. You don't need to list every single thing that you know. You want to focus on the highlights or the most impressive things. Also, if you can categorize and bunch things together, that's going to be the best option rather than being way too repetitive. Because sometimes I see people list out all their technical experience and they're listing out that they have experience with C++, C Sharp, C XYZ, C ABC, when you can just categorize all of these together into C Suite. Same thing with different versions of Java, Windows, etc. Just go ahead and combine them into one line, or talk about the most impressive ones. And if you get to the interview, you can elaborate on this more if they want to know more about the different technical skills that you offer. If you think it's extremely important, you can also list something for competencies as a little section on there as well, so that you can highlight some of the key concepts that you know that you don't think that someone may anticipate you already knowing from one of your positions you had before, because again, like we said, we want to avoid any repetition. If you are a mechanical engineer, it's kind of assumed that you have a lot of these concepts already that are within that umbrella related to design, related to material selection and all of that stuff. So it's not really necessary for you to list all of that, and instead show that within those bullet point descriptions, which you'll learn more about with the SMART descriptions video for next week. Alrighty, so let's dive in and talk about some of the a la carte or optional sections that you might include on your resume. So first and foremost, we have the objective. And the reason I have this as an optional one is because when you're applying directly online, it's already assumed that they know what it is that you're looking for, and so you don't have to specify this on your resume. So in gist, an objective is basically explaining a little bit about who you are and what you're looking for, and thus the reason why I said you don't have to add it if you're applying directly online, unless you're going to a career fair. It may be something good for you to highlight on your resume. So if you want to learn more about what exactly is an objective, how to add this to your resume, make sure you check out this video here so that you can get all of that information. Another section you can add is your relevant courses. So this is only advised if you are an underclassman or if you're taking some kind of course that's outside of your regular degree plan but is related to a position that you're interested in applying for. So for example, if you're some kind of engineering student, let's say, and you're only a freshman or sophomore, you want to make sure that you're listing some of those very technical and relevant courses onto your resume. So you want to make sure that you're highlighting that you've already taken maybe calculus 1 and 2, and that you've already taken some of the fundamental science classes or any intro to engineering courses, any technical courses related to coding, etc., because you want to show them that you have the fundamentals and that you're ready to do any kind of internship, because a lot of these internships, they have prerequisites in place that say that you basically have to already be calculus ready, or you have to have taken some kind of fundamental science courses. So this is why it's important to list these on your resume as ones that you have already taken or maybe currently taken. However, when you are a junior or a senior, these are less relevant and important because it's assumed that you've already taken these classes and now it's just taking up space on your resume, and it's considered fluff, which is basically anything that's non-value added. However, if you are like a junior or senior and you're some kind of engineering student, let's say, but you're interested in taking, you are taking some kind of journalism or business class and you're interested in doing some kind of internship related to this field, then including these different courses on your resume are going to be essential so that you can show that you are doing things currently that are making you a valuable asset related to that field. In addition to this, you can also include any relevant projects. So if you don't have much relevant experience or any work experience at all, then this is a great section to include on your resume because it's going to highlight some projects that you've already done in class that are related to some of the core competencies, but also the application and the practice and the use of these different concepts. So whether this is related to your senior design project, maybe some kind of capstone project, or any other little projects that you've done in class, whether individual or within groups, you want to make sure that you're highlighting these on your resume, especially the most impressive ones, so that you can show some of the competencies that you've learned, maybe working in a team, and also some of the application and the use of the different things that you've done, so that you can highlight some of these experiences in a very creative way. Just make sure that when you are adding these relevant projects to your resume that you're formatting it in the same way that you do your professional experience, and you're including these SMART descriptions on there. So up next we have leadership or community engagement. So you want to talk about any leadership positions that you have had, and you can highlight these and talk about some of the different things that you've done. So again, you want this to be very similar to the professional section on your resume, where you're including these SMART descriptions and highlighting some of the different roles that you had and the key things that you did. If you want some more examples of different leadership that you may be able to add to your resume, you want to check out this video here where I talk about 10 ways to build your resume. This may be things that you can start doing now in order to get experience you can add to your resume later, or this may be things that you've already done and you never really considered adding to your resume. So make sure you check out that video for some inspiration and some more details. Next, you can add any volunteering or community service to your resume. So whether this is a one-time community service thing that you did, it was a one and done, or maybe you're a regular volunteer somewhere, this is something you can also add to your resume. Make sure you're also adding the SMART descriptions here again, and you're focusing on some of the key things that you did and what was the contribution and impact, of course, right? And then also, in addition to this, you can also highlight any certifications and trainings that you've completed. So you want to focus on things that you may have completed at work that is pretty relevant to the position, or maybe some online trainings that you decided to do, whether that's through LinkedIn or some kind of training course you were able to sign up through the school. What have you, you can list these on your resume, and you can also include the month and the year that each one was completed. And then also you can include any awards and achievements. So maybe you are part of some kind of pageant, maybe you received some special kind of scholarship, you were on the honor roll, what have you, you were part of some kind of different kind of interesting program. You can also list this on your awards and achievements section here as some kind of special scholar as far as the programs, whatever. You can list all of this on your resume as well, also following the month-year format similar to the certifications and training section. professional affiliations, you can also add these to your resume. So let's say, for example, you're a professional and you just don't have a lot of space on your resume anymore to list out all the different leadership experience you have similar to me. And so what I do is that I list this little section on my resume where I talk about some of the organizations that I'm really involved in, but I don't list any on there that I wouldn't be comfortable talking about. So same situation here. If someone were to ask you a question about it and some of the things that you've done and how you were involved, and you can't really give much more detail other than being a member, then it's probably something that you may not want to add to your resume, because you only want to add things of value that makes sense to you. And then lastly, any references, you can add this to your resume optional. I personally don't really like adding this one to my resume because I know that if anyone needs a reference, they're going to ask me for it, and I can go ahead and provide that to them directly. And otherwise, it's just kind of taking up space on your resume, and it also is considered as fluff. But depending on the type of position that you're applying to, or the type of field that you work in, it may be appropriate or necessary for you to write that on your resume as references available upon request. I wouldn't say you need to list them on your resume because, again, that could take up space you could use for something else that's a lot more critical and important. But instead, you can write this note, and if they do have questions and need references, then they can reach out to you and you can provide that information accordingly. Alrighty, y'all, well, that's it for this video. I hope that you guys liked it and you learned something new. If you did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to learn more about career readiness, resumes, and even more about different career paths related to engineering, supply chain, and more, make sure to check out the other videos on my channel. But until then, you guys, I will talk to y'all soon, and happy job hunting. Take care.